Thank you, Dr. Litterman. I described what I thought were the major levers that would have an impact on emissions and climate. And that came from a model that was presented by a professor at MIT. They built this huge model there that shows all the things you can do and the impact they have. What was shocking is that almost everything we talk about and we get excited about has no real impact globally, except a price on carbon and, of course, investments in new technology and innovation. Some of that is on the table. But the price on carbon never happened. Am I wrong in that, or is that a fair assessment?
No, you're absolutely right. In fact, I would go further, because when we talk about the budget deficit, as Professor Holtz-Eakin knows, a carbon tax is a great way to raise revenues. Polluters pay, and that reduces the deficit. So, of course, that's the right way to do it. And another thing I would say is that you're absolutely right about the global perspective. This is not a U.S. problem. This is a global problem. And the U.S. has to join the global community in creating harmonized incentives to reduce emissions globally. And, right now, those incentives vary across the board. The U.S. is kind of in the middle with very little incentives. Our strongest incentive to reduce emissions comes from a gasoline tax. If I drive an electric vehicle, I don't pay it. But that's not a strong incentive. Okay? In Europe, the incentives to reduce emissions are over $100 a ton. In many Middle East countries, Russia, Venezuela, there are strong subsidies to increase pollution because they have fixed prices on fossil fuels, which are below the market. So we've got to move diplomatically, and I would say what we have to do in the U.S. is provide our State Department with the tools that they can go and negotiate globally to get these harmonized incentives to reduce emissions.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman.
Thanks, Senator Romney.